Hey, everybody. Good to see, well, some of you.
I see no one, it's just bright lights.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. We're here to talk about moderation and enforcement. And we're going to get into a couple of hot topics that we know folks have been keenly interested in, shall we say, on the trusted safety side. I'm going to stall for a few minutes while these last folks make their way in. And I think we have somewhere between 50 minutes and 2.5 hours. We're going to see.
We'll find out.
But the general structure, we're going to run through some updates for y'all. Then we'll do a Q&A. Come on up to the mic in the front here. And then time permitting, we'll hang around. We can do office hours. Pani and I are both free. We have Sarah in the audience somewhere I can't see, who heads up policy, so she can answer some questions for us as well. And yeah, like we're here to answer questions. We're here to give you some insight into how we approach moderation, how we approach enforcement, particularly around bad actors and things like IP infringement. And we're also going to give you a bit of a peek behind the curtain in terms of like what we're thinking about and where we want to take moderation going forward. I'm not calling it a roadmap. You'll notice I very specifically did not say roadmap, but we did want to share with you a little bit of our thinking about what we want to do and what we care about. So anyway, my name is Dan. I lead the product team for Trust and Safety, and I also look after moderation operations and IP operations.
Hi, I'm Pani. I work on a lot of the moderation tooling and design for all our products, so I work under Dan, hand in hand, but yeah.
Very closely. We all work with everybody all the time.
Everywhere. But we're stoked to hear from you. I'm really stoked for the Q&A, to hear what you guys have to say. So yeah.
Here we go. I kind of ran through this already. My bad. Moving on. So for those of you who joined us last year, we just wanted to reset a little bit, make sure everybody understood sort of what our principles are to how we approach moderation and what we're thinking about. There's sort of three clear things that we strive for. One, we want to make sure that you understand our rules. They need to be clear to you. They also need to be clear to our moderators so that we can enforce consistently and predictably. It's really important to us that when you submit something to publishing that you can reasonably expect the outcome. So that's an area that we focus on an awful lot. Consistent enforcement, again, when we are taking action on something, we're taking action across the ecosystem. Nobody is given any sort of privilege above another creator. That extends to our own products. So even Fortnite content, we review things like thumbnails to make sure that they adhere with our guidelines. And effective communication. Like when we are taking action, we want you to understand the what and the why. And we also want to make sure that you understand like why we think it's important. I think there have been, or we've made a lot of efforts over the last say 6 to 12 months in this area in particular to get better at all of these things. Hopefully you've seen some of the fruits of that effort, but we're nowhere near done. We've got a lot more to go, and we're going to talk about some of that today.
So this is the fruits of your guys' labor. We have over 200,000 islands now, which is amazing to me from where we started when we launched, a little over 2.5 years ago. And I kind of want to show some stats in the next slide of how we really got here. So really we have 13 supported languages. We have 28,000 islands that you all are publishing per week, which is insane. We have over 700,000 assets that we're reviewing. And these are just huge numbers to think that you guys are putting this content out there.
And a note on enforcement. Pani just ran through like the volume that we're looking at. And we've heard from a handful of creators this week that like they were not aware really about what happened to bad actors in the ecosystem. So like one of the things that I want to make sure is crystal clear here today is like this is a thing that we take very seriously, and we do a lot of work to make sure that this is so cliche, but that crime does not pay in the Fortnite ecosystem. So by the numbers, we reject 60,000 assets per week, 30,000 off-platform takedowns this year. What that means is we are issuing DMCAs to platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram for misleading videos. Primarily around XP promotion is one of the largest areas of focus right now, and that's an area we're looking to increase our enforcement over the course of this year and in the very, very near future. Repeat offender bans. We run a repeat offender program. For those that don't know, we'll get into some more details a little bit later. But we have already issued 1,800 bans this year. A ban includes both an inability to publish for a set period of time and also an inability to monetize at not just the island level, but the account level for a period of time, ranging typically between 1 week and a month. We've actioned 743 UPAR, or unoriginal promotional asset reports. So these are the reports that you all file when someone has copied your metadata. This is right around 50% of the reports we've received this year. We've been able to take action on and clear that offending component and assign a strike to the offending creator, which we could talk about that a little bit more. And DMCA, so we adhere to DMCA. We've taken down nearly 590 islands this year alone via that process. Again, we care not only about sort of the IP that you all are building and supporting our platform with, but also certainly IP from established rights holders like our partners at, say, Disney and Lego. And all this adds up to, over the course of our repeat offender program, $4.7 million has been steered away from bad actors back into the engagement payout pool that gets redistributed to you all. And this is a number that grows. Actually, I got an update 10 minutes before this, so we're at like 4.9 now. But it's a number that grows, every month. And I think as we think about some of the changes we want to make to enforcement, I expect that this number will increase more rapidly than it has to date, even. But this is a great start.
So what we want to take you through today is some of our hot topics. These are moderation hot topics that we know we hear from you all the time and you've had questions on, so we want to take you through these next 3 things. So first, we're really going to work on bad actors, what it looks like in the ecosystem, and how we have tools and protections to deter this kind of behavior. So right now, our repeat offender policy, Dan kind of touched on it in the beginning, but we have a dedicated team that's qualified, highly trained. Their sole focus is to look at repeat offenders and enforce on this policy. This is what leads to, what Dan explained before, demonetization and publishing bans across our ecosystem. What does this look like? So when we look at enforcement thresholds, creators are subject to those escalating penalties. In most instances, a first enforcement action is that 7-day publishing and monetization ban. What we really want to look at is what generates a strike. Violations that we consider to be medium sev or higher, like scamming, these are assigned strikes. How do we assign those strikes? This specialized team that are dedicated to this review all violations that may contribute to a strike, and they want to validate all these decisions. So we're double reviewing all of that content prior to actioning any creator. And then I know we've heard this a lot. Are strikes permanent? No, strikes expire over time. That retention period, of course, depends based off that severity, but they do tend to fall off.
Yeah, I think we're very conscious of the fact that you can run afoul of the rules through no fault of your own. So we do want to make sure that when that happens, and it does happen, that it's not sort of a permanent black mark against your account forever. No?
So we have island reporting protection. So in order to prevent weaponized reporting, and I know that we've heard this again from you all, we have protections in place that automatically detect if an island's been reported multiple times in a single week, for example, on that version. So if it's been reviewed in the past week under a single report, we will dedupe those kind of reports and prevent additional reviews on that same version. So you can rest assured that weaponized reporting has protection in our ecosystem.
So to recap what we're doing now, repeat offender, this is folks who are consistently running afoul of our rules. We are issuing bans. We have a strike team dedicated to sort of making sure that those strikes are being justly applied and that it's not a result of moderator error. And we're rolling out monetization bans. But there are also single strike bans for severe violations of our rules that are subject to an immediate 30-day publishing and monetization ban. Because we don't always feel the need to let you prove again and again that rules can be broken. So we have instances where we'll take immediate and severe action right away. Off-platform takedowns, again, 30,000 of those this year alone, and a number that we expect to continue to grow by the month. We have a team, again, dedicated to this, and thank you to you all who have helped shine a light on some videos that we should take a look at as well. We do see those, and we investigate, and we take action as appropriate, so thank you. We have a fraud team that is dedicated to looking at other instances of fraud, such as bots. I actually heard from our fraud team lead yesterday that we are going to be actioning and banning permanently 5 to 6 accounts for some botting activity like this week. So that work is active and happening all the time. And finally, DMCA and UPAR. I'll talk about these a little bit more as we get into IP. But this is sort of a quick high-level view of what we're doing currently to combat some of the sort of unwanted behavior that we see within the ecosystem. As for what we want to do next, more visibility. When we talk about repeat offender, we want to make sure that you are aware of the standing of your account within the ecosystem. So that is something that we are actively working on, and we want to make sure that we get right so that you know where you stand, what kind of violations you should make sure to appeal, and that you just generally understand the status of your account. Stiffer penalties. This is one that we have had a lot of discussions about, especially lately. We have these penalties already in place. We're currently sort of reevaluating whether or not they're actually serving the purpose that we want. There's something to be said, particularly for momentum within the Fortnite ecosystem. And if creators or bad actors in particular feel as though they can break the rules and whatever a week loss on monetization is worth it for the momentum gained, that's still not really driving the outcome that we want. So we're actively investigating ways that we can sort of apply stiffer penalties that'll sort of impede that type of momentum gain and really make it clear that this is not a viable tactic for anyone in the ecosystem. Repeat offender improvements. One of the things that we are working through with the strike system that Pani discussed earlier is shortening the time from moderator decision to what I'll call an authenticated strike. So we do have that team that reveals every decision and then assigns strikes accordingly. The gap there is roughly a week or so right now. We want it to get much more closer to instantaneous. The reason that we have that gap is, again, because we want to make sure that when we are applying strikes, we're doing so judiciously, and we know for sure that it is the right action to take. And we've cut that time down quite a bit over the last 6 months, but we think there's still some room for improvement there, particularly as it relates to some of the moderation quality improvements that we've already seen from our frontline moderators, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a bit. And finally, more public updates. I think one thing that's come through loud and clear from you all is that we are taking all these actions and it's sort of invisible to you. And if it's invisible to you, then it also means that folks who may be tempted to break the rules think that there's no repercussions, and so we're just sort of constantly dealing with people who may otherwise pursue a different path if they were aware exactly of what the consequences to breaking the rules is. So this is an area where I think maybe we're tweeting live right now. It's possible it's out right now, but we'll be doing, it is great. We'll be doing even more as we go. So you can look forward to regular updates here in terms of the status of enforcement within the Fortnite ecosystem. Next up, IP protection. So we engage in 2 different forms of IP protection in the Fortnite ecosystem. One is proactive, which is basically somebody telling us, hey, we want you to prevent this from ever being uploaded to the ecosystem. And the other is reactive, which is things like DMCA and UPAR, where something is already live and somebody asks us to take it down. So I'm going to get into a little bit more of that right now. So again, reactive IP protection. We adhere to the DMCA, and this process works, I think, as many of you are familiar, when a rights holder or an authorized representative of a rights holder contacts us and says, hey, we own the rights to this IP. It is being used in an unauthorized way on your platform. We need you to take it down. We also have a proactive IP protection program that relies on ML and legal agreements with various rights holders, where they provide us with reference assets that we use to proactively look for and block the publication of violating assets within our ecosystem that they know or they haven't granted the rights to creators to use. For DMCA, again, high level, you must be the rights holder. Our IP operations team reviews every DMCA before actioning to make sure that it is valid, both by sort of the letter of the law in terms of who is submitting the request, do they actually own those rights, things of that nature. And also we look to make sure that the request is valid from a content perspective. Have they clearly identified what they want to protect? Do they have the right to do so? We've talked before about how, for example, genres high level are not protectable within the Fortnite ecosystem. Anyone can build a genre. Like, there are many red versus blues, as you're all familiar. No one person can own red versus blue as a concept. And if you receive a DMCA, you have the right to appeal via the counter notice process. Basically, this is part of a legal process where you will, via email, submit a counter notice. The original filer has 10 days to either pursue legal action, and if they do not, then your content is reinstated. For UPAR, or Unoriginal Promotional Asset Reporting, we just call it UPAR because it's a lot of words. You all can report thumbnails, titles, and descriptions. As you know, we have an automated system that reviews the metadata and generates a similarity score, which helps us determine both who was first to platform with that image or title or description, and also how similar it is to other things or the reported content, and then our team reviews. This process, there are some decisions that are incredibly easy. There are a lot more decisions that live in a gray space, so we escalate, and we have a team that reviews these regularly to make sure that the right decision is being made, because you're talking about repeat offender penalties again, you're talking about demonetization and potential loss of publishing for a period of time. So this is an area that we want to make sure that we get right, but we do also realize that as a submitting creator, time is of the essence. So we're trying to improve this process to be even faster than it is currently. We have some work to do there, candidly, but it is something that we're very focused on and making progress. But I want to talk about automated IP detection, because this is actually something that we haven't really gone into detail on before. So we want to give you an idea of how it works. So basically, a creator uploads a UGC image, as you can see here. That could be anything. We'll call it a thumbnail for now, but though this also works on in-game assets. Our system automatically detects objects of interest within that asset based on the matching catalog, and conducts a similarity search. So you could see in the middle example here, there are 4 things with an iconography box around it to sort of indicate that those are objects of interest. And then we have a list on the right of assets that may be matched. The system automatically generates a similarity score. Peely looks an awful lot like Peely. The XR button there, kind of looks like that outfit, but not really. So everything above a certain threshold then gets sent to human moderation. And the prompt to the human moderator is very straightforward. It's basically, are these 2 things the same? If the 2 things are the same, then it's a positive match. The asset is rejected. If the moderator says no, then it's sent through the rest of the moderation process. No IP violation is found. This is a really useful tool. It's helped us a lot with the rights holders that we have on board, and we want to bring even more folks into that program. But this is also why. I've heard some questions before about, like, why did I get dinged for this asset that I just uploaded? I haven't even gone to publishing. That was likely the system in place. And we, again, it's something that we're looking to expand. So quickly recap. We protect metadata via the UPAR process. We adhere to DMCA for whole island content, and also to protect the rights of sort of non-creator IP. We have the proactive IP detection in the form of our sort of ML classifiers and automated detection. And all of these are subject to our sort of repeat offender bad actor policy, where we do strikes and disables and demonetization. In terms of what we want to do next, we want to expand UPAR. There are a couple things here. One, working through legacy thumbnails, potentially bulk reporting, but more importantly, ML thumbnail detection. So we want to automatically block the publishing of duplicative thumbnails directly from Creator Portal, provided it's not your own. The team is working on this actively, and it will be launching soon, which is very exciting. For those of you that attended the Discover talk, they touched on a related project in downranking. So these two things are related and are actively in development. But we think this will make a big impact in terms of the type of obviously duplicative things that are appearing in the ecosystem, and it'll free up our moderation to focus on more of those gray cases that I mentioned earlier. And also Epic IP. This is another area where, somewhat ironically, we could do a lot better at protecting our own stuff as it appears in thumbnails. So we're going to be using more of the image detection that I touched on a minute ago to detect things like outfits that contain third-party IP and should not appear in thumbnails, certainly BR mythics, things of that nature. The goal here is for us to prevent all of that type of content from being published from the get-go, so that we're doing less of the reactive enforcement and more proactive enforcement where we have just less violative stuff making it into the ecosystem.
Awesome. So next I want to touch on moderator quality, and I know this affects you guys every time you submit. We want to look at creating moderator quality that's consistent, accurate, and really predictable when we're doing our decisioning. So moderation's directive is not to account for quality. So when we say quality, it's not the how fun your game is. That's not what we're looking at. We're not looking at playability. Our mission is really to identify violating content and doing that objectively at scale. So trust and safety is really there to ensure that all games are, one, playable, functional, and safe for our Fortnite audience. Ultimately, players will decide what they like and how much they want to engage and spend their time in your island.
One of the ways that we do this is through tech. So I touched on some of the IP, machine learning that we use. We're looking to extend ML throughout the moderation process end to end. We want to use technology, and especially machine learning and AI, to make our moderation process as effective and efficient as possible. It's a major focus for us this year. We'll get into some of the things that we're working on in a moment. But it's a big focus, and it's a big area for us to, again, make sure that you get a predictable outcome when you're submitting to publishing, because we want you to know, basically, I'm teasing my slides that are going in. We want you to know before you even publish if you're likely to fail publishing. Saves you time, it saves us time, and it ultimately will improve the quality of the ecosystem. But we can get into that a little bit more in a moment.
So there's also human-driven quality. So really, we rely on that core team of in-house specialists. It's a global network that runs around the sun of our moderators, and they have custom moderation tooling. You kind of peeked at it when you even saw the side-by-side. It's specially built to handle Fortnite's complexities. For our moderators, we provide lots of enforcement guidelines. So those are detailed instructions on how to understand how to enforce on policy, really by the intent and by the text of the rule. So we also have policy-driven quality. Really, the intent here is to enforce on honest representations of in-island experiences. We want to combat that clickbait and player deception, which we know we've heard loud and clear from you all. We've written what the rule reads. So assets like thumbnails and descriptions and titles, we want those to accurately represent what is in island. I really want to share insights on how we look at how we enforce on these rules with human moderation. We train our moderators to look for similarity in promoted features in gameplay or devices. So if it's a 1v1, is it a parkour map inside? Those are things that we look at, because those are things that mislead players to what they're about to experience. Really, these enforcement guidelines and the policy that Sarah does so great with allows our teams to ensure what games that we're promoting in the ecosystem are true to their experience and to what they advertise. Here's an example of a policy update we did based off of a lot of feedback from the teams and from you guys as creators. So we continue our listening in order to improve those enforcement guidelines for our moderators. A part of that including updated to our internal guidance on how we looked at fear and gore. So how we consider fear and gore and having consistent moderator decisions was just one example of how we heard from our creators that this was an inconsistent moderation experience. So providing that feedback back to our policy teams and creating better moderator guidance was really the core here. So what's happening now? Right now, we do a ton that work with our moderators. So like I said, we listen to feedback. We have quality checks and retraining for our mods. We are continually, every day, auditing our moderators across queues to ensure for accuracy. Are the decisions they're making what we intend on how we write our enforcement guidelines? We have ML-driven safeguards as well. We use ML where we have high confidence scoring to reduce human error. And then really our policy updates and guidance updates for our moderators allow us to understand trends across the market, understand when there's creator confusion, so we're listening and getting feedback from you guys, as well as ensuring our policies are driving the intended result. So oftentimes we'll have our policies out there, but it's not really getting what we're looking for, and that's either feedback from you or seeing how the decisioning is happening live. We will make those kind of changes on the fly.
What's next? So a couple things on here that I'm really excited about. Nudges for potential violations is one of the big ones. So this is sort of like following on the idea that we will be blocking one-to-one similarity within Creator Portal for thumbnails. We are also going to be leveraging ML to automatically flag to you when you upload a thumbnail if it may violate some of our thumbnail rules. So I have a slide coming up in a second that'll show you what that looks like in detail. But again, we're going to suggest, hey, something doesn't look quite right with this thumbnail. It appears to run afoul of our rules. The language at launch is probably going to be a little bit general. We're going to narrow it down over time. But that way you can take action rather than wasting time of going through a submission when you're not going to be successful. We'd rather you fix it in Creator Portal, save yourself the frustration, save yourself that time. The faster you can get your update to market. More safeguards for moderator disagreement. This is another area where we know it's a significant pain point, where you have a thumbnail, for example, that's been approved 4, 5, 6 times, and then all of a sudden it gets rejected. Nothing has changed about it. Why would that happen? It shouldn't happen. So we're working on automatic escalations where if there has been significant moderator agreement over a period of time and several moderators, anytime someone tries to override sort of that decision trend, it'll automatically get escalated for re-review to make sure that content isn't blocked unnecessarily. Our ML models are being improved constantly. We have an ML team that is dedicated and extremely focused on this. We've already rolled out significant changes to our text and voice classifiers in the last 2 months. We have a significant update to our image classifier that is more or less ready to go. We're just going through final checks that'll help us find even more violative content at upload, which will, again, save time going through the submission process, help you all understand what's happening. And then expanding moderator comments. This is another area. We talked about this at Unreal Fest last October. We've been trialing it with a small group. We are focused on finding ways to expand it out more. This effectively allows a moderator to tell you more specifically what your violation is and what you need to work on in order to make your submission compliant. The team is working on this. We want to expand this out to everybody. It seems like it's driving a lot of value for the folks that have it. And again, we want everybody to have access to all the same tooling, all the same information.
And the feedback has been so positive for that small group. That's all we keep hearing.
Yeah, I think this and the thumbnail, screenshots for in-island violations are sort of in a similar vein, where we just want to make it, when you fail moderation, it should be extremely clear to you why and what you need to do to fix it so that you can rectify whatever the problem is and move on. But let's take a look at the Creator Portal nudging. Note, copy not final. This is very much like an engineering design because that insert issue here is not actually a field, which is why the language might be sort of more generic at start, but we'll make some updates to make it policy specific. But what you can see here is you've uploaded a screenshot or a thumbnail, and you're going to get a notification that basically says, hey, it looks like something's wrong with this thumbnail. You could proceed to publishing, but it's likely to be rejected. Then you'll know that you can make a change, or if you feel that's incorrect, you can always proceed through. I think over time, our goal would be to definitively block publishing when we are 100% confident, or 99% confident maybe, that your image is violative, and you'll of course have the ability to sort of appeal that decision if you feel like it's wrong. But over time, we want our moderation to be focused on sort of gray area edge cases and less on obvious decisions. And this is sort of one first step for us to do that. It eliminates error, it speeds up time through publishing, and we think it's the right idea. I think building onto this, we want to do something similar within UEFN. So when you upload assets into UEFN, you would get a similar nudge there where it says, hey, looks like this asset may contain blood, for example. And then you'll know before you go through publishing flow and get rejected, like, oh, I didn't notice that on this asset. I need to make a change. Again, want everything to be as transparent as possible, as clear as possible. In a perfect world, we would have 0 rejections in moderation, because you would know exactly what you were submitting and what the outcome would be. We're not there yet, but we would love to get there, and these are some steps that we're taking to sort of move us closer to that goal. And this is an example of moderator comments. This is our Corgi example. So this is, yes, Corgi Island. But again, you can see here, you still have the rule, the specific rule that was violated, but you also have a brief comment from a moderator that just helps put that into a little bit more context so that you know specifically what the problem and issue was. Again, this is something that we're looking to roll out as soon as we can. As you can imagine, like, turning over free text to our army of mods is a little nerve-wracking. So we just want to make sure that that nothing violative gets through, because that
we want to make sure.
Really ironic.
Yeah, I was going to say, we really want to make sure that you're getting the right information in a moderator comment. It's specific. It points you right to the violation, and we want to make sure that that's how we roll this out.
Yeah. So that's a little peek behind the curtain. I'm happy to open it up to questions from the audience. Yeah. But thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.